Hello, boys and girls. It is another edition of the Three Man Weave. We just watched IU win its ninth game of the season, move to 9-0. This one was a 100-69 victory over Central Connecticut State. So on the surface, you would say, okay, this is another big win over an overmatched non-conference foe, and to an extent, yes. But I think in this one, to me, there's some interesting things that some of the other games we've seen so far this season didn't have. Joining me, as always, is Mike Norman and Nathan Brown. Guys, what stuck out to you about IU's win today?
Well, first of all, you got to look at the top three scorers for IU. You have Cody Zeller coming in with 19 points, Christian Watford with 21, and then Victor Oladipo with 15 himself. And, just from the get-go, these guys were very aggressive in the game. And, as they said in the post-game press conference, it usually starts on the defensive side. And we certainly saw that, especially with Oladipo in this game.
All three players definitely added their own little spice to the game tonight. Zeller and Oladipo were both very, very strong inside. Both of them had several very electrifying dunks that got the crowd to its feet and throughout the game. Watford, on the other hand, pretty strong from outside, 3 for 4 from beyond the arc, 8 for 12 from the field in general. Just a really strong performance from him, and especially since he's seemed a little off this whole season, especially these past couple games.
Yeah, and people have been bringing up the fact that he has been a little bit inconsistent at times this year, but when you look at his numbers are there. And, especially the scoring numbers, obviously putting up 21 points today, 8 of 12 shooting. And I really think, especially with Watford, it really starts when he goes to the basket. And when he stops settling for those early shots and he goes to the basket, he started... got the first basket for IU today, a little floater across the lane. That's his bread and butter. And once he gets that rolling, he gets that confidence to shoot outside and, bombs away. And certainly 3 of 4 from three-point range tonight, he was feeling it. And he has to be aggressive early to get to the basket.
Yeah, I think it really is a case of he just needs to open with one aspect of his game, the stuff closer to the basket, and then that really does open up the other. It's sort of like using the run to open up the pass in football. I think the metaphor applies to an extent here. And yet, this game really was just sort of the first time, more than any time we've seen this season, of these three guys who IU was sort of expecting to be three of their studs all season, all three of them on their game. I would argue that Watford had his best game of the season tonight, and Zeller had his best game of the season. And Oladipo has been lights out every game recently, so this was just par for the course for him. But that's still saying something. I mean, early on, I was ready to say that, okay, this is Oladipo's game again, because he was really leading the charge early in the first half with dunk after dunk after dunk on the fast break, and additionally with Yogi Ferrell was really making a mark early as well. So, I mean, it was sort of a game where everyone got involved, and I think that's what IU really wanted to see. And that said, there were 5 players in double figures, which is sort of what IU seems to be going for almost every game, because Hulls and Sheehy hit that mark as well.
Zeller with 19 points, 19 rebounds. And coming into this game, as I wrote in my column, IU just had a huge size advantage.
And they took advantage.
And they did. And if you look at the numbers that relate to that, 22 second chance points, 56 points in the paint. You have 27 points off your bench, and you win the rebounding battle 53-31. And I mean, when a team like this comes into Assembly Hall, a team that is clearly undersized, you have to win those battles. And IU did a great job of it today, and that's certainly why they were easily able to defeat Central Connecticut State.
I think some of that, especially I noticed in the first half, comes a lot from IU's strength in the passing. They just had some really, really quick passes, 3, 4, 5 in a row, where they, would just be able to find that big open man under the basket that, Central Connecticut State just really, A, couldn't match up, and B, didn't quite have the speed to keep up with IU's run and gun offense. And I think that, that really helped, especially, Zeller and some of the bigger guys down low.
If there was a down point to this game, sorry, Max, but it would be the injury of Austin Etherington down low. And came in during the game, had a few early fouls, but, that could be a little bit of a loss moving on into the season. Etherington has shown times where he provides a spark for the Hoosiers, but we'll see how long he's actually going to be out for this season.
Yeah, it looked up from where I was sitting. It looked pretty ugly. I mean, if you have to get the stretcher involved, if the guy goes to the hospital right after halftime. I think we're not going to see him for a while. Maybe I don't want to be too, take too many guesses at this point, but I'm not sure if we'll see him again this season. It looked like it could be bad, and teams are always want to be careful with these cases. So I'm not sure. But that said, and not to be callous, but I think all in all, of all the guys, not including the walk-ons, that's probably the player they can most afford to lose because they do have such depth. And we were talking about this coming into the season, and this is why they're able to survive an injury like this.
And it will help now that Peter Jerkin and Hunter Mascara Pereira will be coming back. Their 9-game suspension effectively over now. The Hoosiers have played their first 9 games, so they will be back at Bankers Life Fieldhouse when IU takes on Butler next Saturday. So a little bit more in the front court for them. It will help them out, just getting a little bit of that depth back. Guys, you were there in the press room earlier today when Derek Elston came in, attracted by the barbecue pulled pork sandwiches.
Can't blame him for that.
Delicious pulled pork sandwiches. Had to come in there, but got a little bit of a timetable of when we might see him come back.
Yeah, he was saying about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks or so. So that would bring it to around Christmas time. So
yeah, we got that game right after Christmas. Maybe we see him there, or if not, I think the goal unofficially all along has been get him back for the Big Ten opener, and I think that's looking very doable right now. So I think a lot of people can take heart in that because I personally think he's going to have a bigger impact on the team when he fully returns and gets himself back into the system than either of the freshmen, just because he has that Big Ten experience and just knows how to bang around in the post against such a physical kind of player as you see in the Big Ten. So I think that makes a huge difference.
We're certainly going to see a little bit of a change to IU's team just getting these players back. And it's weird that they have been out for this long and IU has been able to play so well. But we'll see how they fit in because, I mean, as it is, a basketball team is somewhat of a fragile beast. You have to have certain moving pieces working together at that point. So when you put that in, as we kind of saw when we were in Brooklyn, when Shabazz Muhammad came back and his first came back, things were just a little bit off. So there will be a little bit of a time for adjustment to get these guys back into the flow of the game. But certainly it will help to get that addition, especially with Etherington looking like he could be out for some time.
Yeah. And we do still have 4 non-conference games to go, so I think there is time. And 3 of those are games that going into them will be much like the lead up to this one where IU will be heavily favored. And the next one is the exception to that, Butler, and that could be a little more interesting, but I think we'll get a little more into that as we get closer because that's a whole week away. So.
Guys, the last thing I want to touch on, just the defensive job of a number of Hoosiers on Kyle Vinales. Vinales came into this game leading the nation in scoring with over 25 points a game, held to 7 points in this game, and just completely shut down, out of rhythm, 3 of 15 shooting from the field. Great job by Victor Oladipo, Will Sheehy, and a few other Hoosiers just overall.
Yeah, Remy Abel got into the mix for that as well.
You could really tell early, even without knowing that he was the nation's leading scorer at, almost 26 points a game, that his, that the Central Connecticut State offense really ran through him. He had his hand on the ball multiple times. It seemed like every single possession. He was oftentimes the one, taking the first shot or at least a shot in the possession. And you could really tell that he was a crucial part to their offense. And when he wasn't shooting on all cylinders, you could know that they wouldn't be either.
On the flip side, though, of that, you hold Vinales to only 7, but Matt Hunter, their second leading scorer, went off for 40 points in the game, and that seemed to be a little bit of a point of contention, something to look at in the post-game press conferences. Crane said it was unacceptable, allowing a guy to score 40 points in a game.
Yeah, and I think they're going to address it like that, but I think that Crean also said this is a good thing to face a team that has several guys who are capable of having that big game, which IU really is outside of the Brooklyn teams and maybe North Carolina, though it really wasn't a factor with North Carolina. This, in a lot of ways, was the first time IU faced a team that has 2 really good scoring options, and so I think in the long run this helps. And Crean also pointed out that going into this game, Hunter was shooting something like 11% from three-point range. Shots were falling for him tonight. He went 6 of 11 for 3-point range, and so that makes a big difference. That accounts for a lot of extra points.
Yeah, a little bit better than 11% shooting from the field tonight.
I figured Crean is prone to exaggeration. So.
But, I think that will do it for us, guys. Hoosiers win 100-69 over Central Connecticut State. Reminder, IU will be back in action next Saturday against Butler as they take on the Butler Bulldogs in Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. It's going to be a great game. We're excited to be out there in Indy once finals are over. I hope you guys...
Yeah, we're excited for that even more, trust me.
Hope you guys have good luck on your finals and study hard. Make everybody proud. Go Hoosiers. And, of course, check out the game tomorrow night, the men's soccer game in the championship. It's going to be a big weekend for IU. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Catch you from Bankers Life.